Welcome back to 3D Cartoon Review. Today's episode opens where the last one left off, after Qin Mu forged a pill furnace for Fan Yunxiao. The cloud-chasing boat streaked across the sky at 5 or 6 times its former speed, and, before long, kissed the docks of the Imperial capital. The cloud-chasing boat cut down through frayed cloud, like a swift returning to its eaves, bronze fins folding as the hull skimmed the river air. The pillfire Qin Mu had fed its engine still glowed faintly along the seams, and when the skids finally kissed the dock, the craft purred 5 or 6 times its former speed and pleased with itself. Fan Yunxiao disembarked first. In the space of a few heartbeats he melted into the bustle, all smiles and murmurs, a man who could oil hinges with charm alone. Qin Mu watched him work papers stamped, palms greased, obstacles softened, and by the time Fan returned, his sleeves were unwrinkled and his eyes were bright with schemes. "Brother Qin," he said cheerfully, "ditch the Imperial Academy and come do big business with me. We'll buy low, sell high, and laugh even higher." Qin Mu chuckled, the corners of his eyes folding in a way that never promised yes. "My reputation's solid, unlike yours, senior brother. Your heart is far too crafty." Fan clutched at his chest, wounded for show. Then he leaned in, glanced left and right, and slipped a wrapped bundle into Qin Mu's hands. His voice dropped. "No one saw. Open it later." They parted at the key. Qin Mu waited until the streets thinned, and a plane tree's shades softened the noise. Then he untied the cloth. Inside lay an old-toothed manuscript, the Tai Xuan Mathematical Classic Daoist gate property. But this copy was different. Between the lattices of number, sword scripture had been threaded like a hidden current. He scanned a page, and breath caught. Notes on the 14 heavens of the Dao-Sword marched the margins with a cold precision. He recognized one point piercing the lotus, terrible and elegant, the text labeling it only the first move. "Master all 14, the commentary promised, and one could become a god, found a lineage, and stand unrivaled." A quiet thrill moved under Qin Mu's ribs. He rewrapped the classic, tied it twice, and walked on. At the Grand Imperial Academy, the gate Qilin sprawled like a toppled mountain mane, a tangle of stone that wasn't stone, flanks rising with slow breath. The iron chain collar that had once kept it obediently ornamental was gone. Qin Mu rapped the great chest with his knuckles. "No chain, why not leave?" One lid lifted, the pupil glinted like polished agate. "Leave for what?" the Qilin rumbled. "Outside there's wind and no food. Here there's food. I'm comfortable." Beside Qin Mu, Hu Lingjier tipped her head, tail flicking. "So your grand ambition is eating?" The Qilin made a kettle snort. What would a fox demon know of a Qilin's aspirations? "I was born to oversee mountains, appreciate classics, sample rare elixirs, and nap." Qin Mu turned to go. Behind him, the bass rumble in that cavernous chest changed, thinned. "My old master resigned," the Qilin muttered, pride snagging on the words. "Left me alone. I've nowhere to go. Every day the azure ox saunters by to bully me. Now even a fox mocks me." The complaint frayed into silence. Qin Mu's expression softened despite himself. "You know," he said as if mentioning the weather, "I also belong to the patriarch's line." The ears twitched up. "And then you knocked me out drunk," the Qilin replied tartly. Qin Mu coughed once, a small admission. He took 3 steps soft, decisive before a sound like a mountain trying to tiptoe followed him. The Qilin padded after. Qin stopped, the beast stopped. Qin turned, the beast lifted its chin with artless gravity. "You got me drunk," it declared, "so you're responsible for my food." Only later would Qin learn the thin cruelty behind the scene. After the young patriarch resigned, the new Grand Sacrificial Priest had mistaken the living guardian for a statue. Too proud to beg, the Qilin had been hungry more than a month. Qin Mu sighed. "I'll adopt you." Ears pricked, dignity returned at once. "My daily ration," the Qilin intoned, "is 1 dew of red fire spirit pills." Hu Lingjier did fast, terrible math. "Young master, our money feeds him for half a month, then we pawn the boat, the house, and my whiskers." The Qilin's certainty collapsed like a sand wall under a bucket. "Fine, half a dew. Or 1 sheng. I can be a little hungry." Qin Mu grinned. "I can refine pills, but I won't feed you for free." "Free?" The beast looked offended on principle. "Dragon saliva," Qin said mildly. "A bottle a day is rent, useful for refining." The Qilin pretended to weigh the proposition, then nodded. Acceptable. A beat. Bring the azure ox so I can thrash him. Don't ask for a yard after an inch, Qin said. Eat first, revenge later. And just like that, with an absurd contract and a straight face, Qin Mu adopted the Qilin. They went to buy herbs for the new tenants' meals. On the way, the wind carried a wave of sound-sharp intakes. The collective ooh of a crowd jolted in unison. The prince's garden was ahead, its walls humming with the noise inside. Detour? Hu Linger asked, already sliding toward the gate. Within, the ornamental paths had hushed into a ring field. Scholars and guards formed a circle. Qin Mu arrived as Boom, a young man pinwheeled and speared headfirst into the dirt. Bang, a girl in green, shot backward, through a thin wall, legs kicking once like exclamation marks. Qin Mu narrowed his eyes. The rhythm of the strikes was a tune he knew. Ba Mountain's sacrificial wine, relentless, rolling, half brawl, half lesson. Ling Yuxiu, he murmured. He fed the Qilin 2 furnaces of pills. First the beast ate like destiny, hid at the bottom of the cauldron, then returned. Rumor had condensed by then into one crisp sentence. The 7th princess had returned from tempering trials, power surging, and was now guarding the gate, sweeping the entire prince's garden. The lane clogged with onlookers. The Qilin roared, lowered its broad head, and bulldozed a path. Scholars stumbled aside with pale faces. A statue was not supposed to bellow or charge, and yet it bellowed and charged with perfect etiquette. At the inner court, Ling Yuxiu planted Shizi Minweert, her polearm, into the floorboards. She dusted her sleeves like a thunderclap, pretending to be polite. Then she spotted Qin Mu, and sparks softened in her eyes. Cowherd, she called, pleased. No more fighting today. She caught Qin's wrist, already dragging him toward the exit. The Grand Sacrificial Priest has resigned, she rattled off. Asterisk, asterisk. The new one isn't Ba Mountain's sacrificial wine, it's Gu Li Nuan. They had taken 3 quick steps toward her rooms when a shape detached from the colonnade and blocked the way. Ling Yuxiu, the second prince, voice measured, eyes tidier than his titles. A girl's chambers aren't for men to stroll in, he said mildly. Come to my study. His study smelled of sandalwood, careful ink, and weather held at the door. Ling Yuxiu poured tea propriety first and thanked Qin Mu for the Lulin Golden Palace affair, saving Ling Yuxiu when knives were cheaper than words. Courtesy done, he set the cup down. Lacquer flashed, tone cooled. Gu Li Nuan walks the demonic path and has a narrow heart, he said. You used a stratagem to snatch his young treasure sword. He has been holding a grudge. He offered himself as go-between. The cushion before a table flips. Qin Mu's cup touched its saucer with a small click. In the great ruins, what you claim with your strength is yours, he said evenly. You don't return it. And since Gu Li Nuan is the Crown Prince's master, your highness, do you truly think he will honor your face? Intercede, and you may find he troubles you first. Something shifted behind the prince's eyes, not a fence calculation revised. He inhaled, slow as a gate on oiled hinges, then said what he had not planned to say. He would leave the academy soon for the frontier, to command troops. Politeness loosened, worry surfaced like a fish. I'm concerned for my 7th sister, he admitted. Qin Mu thumped his chest. Rest easy, second prince. With me here she's safe. The prince's smile was diplomatic. The private thought that followed was not. It is precisely because you're here that I worry. He did not voice it. He had armor to fit and a road to meet. He saw them to the door with a bow precise enough to remember. Back at the scholar's residence, evening turned the courtyard into a ledger. Familiar faces slipped in, those same scholars whose belongings Hu Lingher had seized earlier, now redeemed their goods with fistfuls of great wind currency. Dignity is difficult when your favorite brush returns with a fox's bite mark. Hu Lingher counted fast, closed her abacus with a snap, and delivered a blow shaped like congratulations. Young master, you've been promoted to a 6th rank official. From now on, you can't beat scholars anymore. Qin Mu blinked. Can't? No more extracurricular fundraising, she sighed. Our resource supply just dried up. We have mouths to feed. She aimed her gaze at the door, where a mountain tried to impersonate a hill and a Qilin to fatten. On our current budget, we must choose between pill furnaces and his breakfast. The Qilin hunched its massive shoulders, attempting to look small, a boulder pretending to be a pebble. Qin Mu reached into his sleeve and produced a jade bottle. He tilted his chin at the beast. Spit me a bottle of dragon saliva. The Qilin blinked, then remembered the contract written in hunger. With priestly solemnity, it lowered its head and filled the bottle with long tian thick, faintly luminous. "Rent day," Hulinger said, satisfied. Qin Mu corked the bottle and headed straight to the Imperial infirmary. The infirmary's courtyard smelled of crushed herbs and old linen. A cluster of elder Imperial physicians looked up, recognized Qin Mu, and blanched in unison. Little divine doctor," one stammered, clinging to a case of needles as if it could ward spirits. What anesthetic or poison is it this time?" Qin Mu smiled like summer thunder warm, with promise of trouble. "Neither, honored sirs. Today I bring a remedy." They did not at first look reassured. Night settled like a silk shawl over the capital. In the residence, the Qilin lay on its side, snoring softly as a forge bellows. Hulinger perched on a stool, counting tomorrow against today, while Qin Mu lit a lamp and reopened the Tai Xuan Mathematical Classic. The page was a field of stars, equations like constellations, each proof a hinge that swung a door. Margins carried the sword scripture, one point piercing the lotus, sketched with spare cruelty. Beyond it, the second, third, hints, pointing toward a 14th, the annotator had not dared to draw. "Become a god, found a lineage, stand unrivaled. Not promises bait." He rose and tested a stance. Lamplight leaned. The Qilin's breathing set the tempo. A finger pressed, a wrist turned, spine aligned. For a moment the room rearranged itself around a point no bigger than a sesame seed. He did not strike. The city felt crowded with ears tonight. He sat and read until the wick guttered and steadied, until the numbers softened into muscle memory. Hulinger said nothing. Storms have their own schedule. Dawn brought Rent another bottle of dragon saliva, then markets, herbs, minerals, furnace, fuel. The Qilin chewed with devotion, pausing between bites to rehearse future triumphs over the azure ox, each telling acquiring more detail and less plausibility. After 6 more furnaces, it announced grandly, "I shall challenge that bovine again." "After you earn 6 more furnaces," Hulinger corrected, tapping the jade bottle. Rumors moved like morning mist. Gu Li Nuan had taken office with a face like shaved ice. The Crown Prince had toured the academy, leaving a shadow in every corridor. An edict was being drafted about what? No one could agree. Ling Yuxiu had bathed, changed, and 3/4 recovered enough to pick a fresh fight. Ling Yuxiu had been seen in armor that fit him like a precise threat, his frontier orders wrote in his sleeve. Qin Mu felt the city through his soles. Capitals measured time not by harvests, but by the distance between smiles and knives. He angled toward quiet halls, where math could breathe, and away from places where politics crowded the air. By midday, he had memorized 2 more lines of the Dao-Sword margins. The Qilin between naps and speeches shadowed him faithfully, turning to stone whenever a teacher's pride wandered past, and back to flesh the instant it was safe to breathe. At dusk, a message came from the gate. The second prince would depart at first light. Ling Yuxiu pretended indifference, and then cared all at once, snapping at servants, at shoes, at wind. Qin Mu found her on a roof tasting the city with her eyes. "You'll keep your promise?" she asked without turning, meaning Gu Li Nuan, the crown prince, any shadow that leaned across her door. "I already did," he said, settling beside her. "I fed a Qilin." She snorted despite herself. After a quiet moment he added, "And the rest we'll handle as it comes." Lamps bloomed across the capital, a slow unfurling of small suns. Somewhere, a Daoist discovered a gap on a shelf and frowned at the space where a manuscript had been. Somewhere else, a crown prince practiced a smile against polished steel. Near the academy gate, an azure ox chose for tonight to keep walking. In the Imperial infirmary, elder physicians prepared to examine a bottle of dragon saliva with maximum suspicion and, inevitably, reluctant gratitude. In the scholar's residence, a fox curled around her sums. A Qilin dreamed of victory. And Qin Mu read numbers that pointed toward heaven and treated them, sensibly, as directions to a well. And that is where episode 58 draws breath and rests. A stolen Dao-Sword manual whispering of 14 skies. A hungry Qilin who values lunch above liberty. A 7th princess who wins fights and then orders them to stop. A second prince whose calm is armor over worry, and a boy from the great ruins who pays rent with dragon saliva and confidence, walking the thin line between mathematics and mischief as if it were drawn for his feet.